What is going on, all Gridiron Express listeners? Welcome to the new podcast. We got your boy the Bengals, you got the Raiders, and you
What's
also
up?
got the Chargers, and a special guest that we will get to later on in this podcast. How you guys doing, Chargers and Raiders?
Doing
I'm
pretty
doing
good,
solid.
Bengals. I'm liking the idea that you brought up this podcast. You know, it's something I'm really interested in doing. So I mean, for first
I'm
time in
doing, yeah,
making this
I'm
league
doing
super
solid.
special. I'm sorry for
I'm doing
interrupting,
solid.
Chargers.
I'm doing solid.
But yeah, so we got a couple things we want to talk about. A couple things about the league. But we're really looking forward to it. So let's hop right into it. So we wanted to talk about kind of the standings. So we want to kind of take a look at every single team. So you want to start us off, Raiders?
Oh hell!
You cut out.
And really fast. If this is unprofessional, that's because, well, it's not my first time doing a podcast, but we're still a little new to this, so.
Yeah. All right. First team I want to go ahead and bring up is the Niners. I believe he was first place in the league for a long time. I think he dropped down a couple places in the league since that big L to the Seahawks. Um, you know, could be our guess, could be or could not. Who knows? As you know, the Niners Colts just totally dominate the top three. I believe Jets is kind of almost there. I mean, he's
Jets is,
always up in the top five regardless because he just plays so well.
yeah, he's fifth in the league. I'm looking at the standings.
Yeah. Jets is always up there. Pulling up the standings right now, actually.
Any surprise candidates at the top right now?
I find the Panthers a little bit surprising. I feel like they don't. No offense to the Panthers, no offense to anybody, honestly. But the Panthers just don't seem like the guy that's always at the top, and he's making a pretty good statement for himself this year, and quite possibly a playoff run. I don't know what the NFC South standings are right now. In fact, I'm about to look right now.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
The Saints and the Falcons are ahead of him. Completely forgot. But he could definitely make a wild card run. But he is a little bit of a surprise when it comes to towards the top of the standings. And obviously we got the new Falcons user, who's definitely making a name for himself in gridiron. But a couple of the same guys as always. Like you always see the Niners up there. You always see the Colts. Eagles seem to be looking a tiny bit better than normal. The Skins are up there, which I feel like they normally aren't, but they're definitely
Doing a
making
lot
a
of
name for
force
themselves as
wins.
well. Yes, a lot of force wins.
I think he had like 5 in a row at one point. Honestly,
But
Yeah,
yeah,
he definitely did.
yeah, a couple surprises though that are a little bit lower in the standings than normal, in my opinion. The Buccaneers are 4-7 this year so far.
really.
Yes, 4-7. Very interesting
Wow.
record in my opinion. I feel like he always does a lot better, but also the Jags, and obviously we had the Jags guy leave, or the old Jags guy. But you can't really blame him. He's in a very tough division, obviously being with the Colts and the Texans. But another big surprise: the Patriots, 4-7. Not a very good record for him. The Steelers,
Recent playoff berth as of last year.
yeah,
Uh, we've seen it. He's very inconsistent, like a mashed potato or like a potato you put in the oven or like in the microwave. I mean, I feel
yeah.
like he could hot really hot at one point, then he's just really cold.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that someone may or may not be listening to right now, the Cards are a bit of a surprise. Going 2-9, not his usual record. He's seen playoff appearances before. He's seen better days, but having a bit of
Yeah.
an off year. You have myself, the Bengals, going 2-9. Tough year for me. It's normally a little better, but the Bills I've just played actually earlier today. I've never really seen how good he is, but 2-9. Then you got the Chargers 1-10, the new Giants user 1-10, and you got the Lions who's now a CPU and is 1-10.
If I could bring up an interesting stat line, there's only 4 teams in the league that has not scored 200 offensive points yet, including
Wow,
the
including
Bengals and
me,
Cardinals.
I'm assuming.
The Bills
Uh,
and Giants have to join him in that company. It seems to be an NFC thing. Just saying. Or actually, no,
that's an
there's 2
interesting
AFC,
stat right there,
2 NFC
actually.
teams. But a lot of points scored against these teams. I mean, we even see some higher tier teams up here as the Packers. At rank 19, well, actually, 7th worst point differential with 315 points scored against.
Interesting. Yeah,
All right,
we've definitely had a
Are white people
couple,
allowed in here?
No.
a couple surprises, but a couple of interesting stats when it comes to allowed in points for. But if we want to look at the playoff picture now, some interesting stats. So interesting fact here or stat here. The Jets are not winning their division right now. They are currently in a wild card spot when it comes to the playoffs, as we have the Dolphins in the lead division spot and the number 2 seed. Very interesting in my opinion. Not seeing the Jets in the division lead. But you'll have
Which
obviously
is nice, but he's also getting some competition as the Texans.
Yes, and we saw a little bit of an upset, kind of an upset earlier this season, but the Raiders, I messed up that name, I always mess it up, ended up pulling the upset against the Jets earlier this season, but there's a chance that you don't even call it an upset, because, and I'm not just sucking up to him because he's right here in front of me, but in the last few years, the Raiders has definitely stepped his game up a lot compared to the previous seasons, and obviously last year he made it to the divisional round. And
Lost to the Colts by 8
yes.
points. I'll never forget
and
that.
only by
hurt.
8 points, yes. So he's definitely making a name for himself in this league, and I think we can see further playoff potential from him. But yeah, we got, other than him, some of the usuals. You always see the Titans towards the lower wildcard spots, the Dolphins, which again, division lead. And then for the AFC North division lead, we have the Baltimore Ravens. And then on the NFC side, if any of you would like to take the lead, because I know I've been talking a lot.
If we're going to talk the NFC, we're going to go ahead and start with the NFC North, where the Bears are 7-4 with their starting quarterback, former Las Vegas Raider Derek Carr at the helm. I believe he's been doing all right for him. He was trying to trade him earlier in the midseason.
It's Mac Jones.
It's Mac Jones. from the Bears that I hear today, I believe, right?
That was the Bears.
All right. If you can bring up some stats right now, that'd be dope. But
I can bring up some stats right now while you continue with the playoff race. Race. I don't know what I said.
Yeah. No. I mean, as you might have heard, we have the playoff standings are out right now, of course. NFC number 1 is going to be the 49ers. Number 2 is the Eagles. Number 3 is the Falcons. Number 4, yours truly, or not yours truly, but our pal Bears here with Mac Jones at the helm. Number 4. Number 5, Seahawks. Again, could be somebody special, could be not. At number 5. Number 6 is the Skins, which is more surprising because he's just been gliding over like ice with ease. Because he's not had to play a single game. There's actually 3 NFC East teams. The NFC East, right? The Cowboys, Eagles, and...
Yep, 3 teams.
Yeah, okay.
Which is
3
interesting.
teams from one division. I believe
that's pretty strong.
On both sides, I believe there is a team missing from a division.
And that just shows how competitive the NFC East has been this year, and really every year. It's always a competitive division. And there always seems to be some kind of Cowboys user as well. That's always good that the league ends up finding. So, but I do have the stats pulled up, so I don't know if you're done. But Derek Carr. So it seems to be that Derek Carr's been getting most of the playing time. Derek Carr's played in 10 games. I think it's 10 games into the season. I'm not exactly sure though. And then Mac
13.
Jones, 13. Oh, Mac Jones has played 6. Oh, actually, Taysom Hill has played 11. Actually, I never even noticed that. But obviously, that doesn't mean that they played the whole game. So Derek Carr has 543 downs played. Mac Jones has 101, and Taysom Hill has 33. And as far as yards and stuff go, obviously Carr is the most because he's played the most. Taysom Hill has 0 yards. I'm assuming he's probably come in for a couple rushing plays. But Carr, he's had some solid
seems to be
stats.
evident.
Yeah.
Excuse me for interrupting, but Taysom Hill was 7 carries, 52 yards, 3 tutties.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, he seems a little bit underused, but I mean, as time goes on, he's the same age as Derek, or he's a little bit older than Derek Carr, but with only 3 less years of experience.
Yeah. And then Carr has 11 picks, which honestly, in my opinion, is a great number. I feel like in Madden, it's always frustrating with the amount of picks that you throw. 11 picks is very great, especially comparing to the amount of picks that I have thrown. But as far as it goes, obviously, Carr's gotten the most playing time. He's got some solid stats, 16 touchdowns. Longest
He's got solid guys
75.
around him. I mean, Kyle Pitts, the second-year man, it says Abilene Christian for some reason, but I believe he was from Florida. Allen Robinson being as great as ever. I mean, a lot of evened out stats, but I mean, these guys are getting the ball thrown to them lots and lots of times.
Yeah, and the Bears have done a good job of spreading the sugar. But
So for you guys, who's the biggest surprise in the playoffs?
The biggest surprise, Skins.
Ooh, it could be Skins. I know this really isn't a surprise, but it is surprising seeing the Dolphins leading the AFC East.
I gotta agree with that one. Yeah, I'm surprised the Jets.
I'm gonna say the Eagles are my biggest surprise.
Really? I mean, I guess that is a higher seed than normal.
He's super consistent because he's either number 2 or number 3 in the NFC because he doesn't have to deal with the Colts and Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because all he has to worry about is Niners. Then I feel like the rest of the NFC isn't as stacked as the AFC is.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. There's contenders all around.
Yeah.
I personally did not expect him to be
good
9-2 right now. I probably expected him to be like 7-4 right now.
Yeah. But definitely with additions of the new Falcons user, the new Cowboys user that we got right after the offseason at the beginning of the regular season, that's definitely helps even out the amount of skill in the NFC. And even the Eagles a couple years ago, because they weren't really an original member of this league. But definitely with the league's gotten a lot more evened out on each side, and it makes it more and more fun for the Super Bowl rather than it just being a blowout, not even a good game. But
I believe we got to move on to the next thing. We went over standings for a little bit longer than we would have liked to, but let's go ahead to the final scores.
Ooh, so we're talking week 12.
Because we had recently just simmed.
Yes.
The Raiders actually, I'll go ahead. I'll go over my own personal score first. We had a hell of a game versus the Chiefs, so the final score was 9-7.
9-7, folks. That's when it shows that Madden is weird.
3 field goals, but only scored that game by the leg Daniel Carlson. There was a rushing touchdown by one of the Chiefs' backup running backs, but that was really the only thing interesting about that game. We're going to go ahead and go on to the Dolphins and Viking game. It was a fair. I think it was a forced win for the Dolphins, but it was a very close game. The final score is 14-12. I want to go ahead and go over the final stats for these quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo being the Vikings starter quarterback after being in free agency for so long. Threw for 237-yard interception. Okay. Longest pass was 26 yards. Sacked for about 3 times, and his pass completion percentage was 57% through 20. It was 20 for 35. I mean, he looked, pretty good for coming out of free agency that quickly. But Tua could have been better this game, as he had 162 on the day, just through the air, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His longest was also 26, and he threw for about 58%. It was 14 for 24. Rushing on that game, Not impressive either, but I guess the rookie Chris Hitchens, 18 carries, was jugging. Matt Breida as well, getting a whole lot of carries. They both put together about 41 carries, I want to say. No, not even. No. That's just me doing bad math. That's 30, over 30 carries and about 100 yards. No touchdowns between either one of them. We're going to go over the next game. The Bills and Bengals was a very close game. This was a played game, but the Bengals came out on top. Let's see who had the last laugh in the stats. Joe Burrow with 152 on the day. Could be better, but the system will always move on. The guy had a tutty though, no interceptions. Love to see it.
And that's something you don't see every day when you tune into a Bengals game.
It was 10 for 15 with 66% on the day. But the other quarterback, Josh Allen, looked almost a little bit better. Not quite, because he had one touchdown, but he also threw 3 interceptions. And he was 17 for 25. Had the better passing completion besides the interceptions. Rushing seemed wow. Burrow had 8 carries for 81 yards. What is that about, Bengals?
Well, I kind of mentioned this earlier before we started, but I have been trying to up Burrow's mobility. I've upped it a tiny bit than what it originally was, but mostly just the scrambling, because there were a lot of instances where the pass rush started getting to me. They have a solid pass rush over there in Buffalo, but I just started scrambling, and it seemed to work, so I ran with it. No pun intended, but I ran with it while it worked, and it seemed to work, so, I mean, whatever I can get to work, it works.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the Texans-Titans game. I took a little bit longer on the last 2 games than I would have liked to, but Texans-Titans, it was an over, or I believe it. No. It was a fourth quarter thriller, as the projected Texans were supposed to win that game, but that was not the case here, as the Titans came away with it. Deshaun Watson, 207 on the day, 1 tutty, 1 interception. The longest pass was 75 yards, but he was getting sacked 6 sacks taken that day. He was 8 for 17. He looked just flat out horrible. But I mean, you really can't blame him with the Titans pass rush with Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons.
Yes.
It's going to be kind of hard to run away from that. But Ryan Tannehill looked all right as well that game. 298, no tutties, 2 interceptions. Longest pass was 32 yards, sacked once. His line was doing the job for him. 25 for 40 pass completions. Rushing, on the other hand, is where it got out of hand, as Jonathan Taylor had 11 carries for 190 yards and a tutty. Derrick Henry for the opposing team had more carries with 60 less yards and 2 tutties. I mean, Deshaun Watson even carried the rock himself, got 5 for 41, and had a tutty as well. There's a whole lot of tutties on here. As Darrington Evans, a backup running back for the Titans, also had a tutty. Lots of rushing tutties for this team today.
Yes, he did.
I've not seen any impressive stats out there. I want to go ahead and move on now to the Ravens and Patriots. It was a blowout by the Baltimore Ravens. As you see here, as Lamar Jackson with a quarterback rating of 138 on the day. 282, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, long of 50, sacked 2 times.
I do gotta say something, sorry to interrupt again, but something I do gotta respect about the Ravens user, obviously, but to anyone listening to this, you may think so, but me and Ravens really don't have, like, a hatred for each other. We're just joking around with each other in the chats with the trash talk, but I have hella respect for the way he uses Lamar Jackson. He doesn't just run with him every single play like a 6-year-old would. He runs with him when he needs to and when he's got an open space. And when he has to, he throws it too. So, respect to that dude, but go ahead.
Yeah, Lamar was looking like a quarterback today, not the memed running back as he once used to be. Opposing quarterback Justin Fields. Ooh, I will not want to be Justin Fields at the moment. Bill Belichick must be whipping up a new quarterback in the lab real soon. as he would, as he had 122 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 3 interceptions. He was also sacked once. He's just horrible on throwing, horrible getting any yards whatsoever. It looked like it might have been more of a ground game for the Patriots, which it was, as Kylan Hill. I mean, not a very impressive stat day, but I mean, for 9 carries and to have 84 yards, no tutties, but I mean, it's something. It's something on the ground at least.
Yes.
J.K. Dobbins getting the rock a whole lot. 21 carries, 111 yards, no tutties. Lamar Jackson, three carries for 4 yards and a tutty. I mean, again, when I played Ravens week 1, he didn't spam Lamar. I was sure to put a lot of QB spy on him, but he plays really, really respectable, and he plays really well with Lamar. And I mean, I just got to give him a big shout out for that.
Yeah, that's why I respect the dude. He doesn't cheese with Lamar. That's all I got to say. But
all right, I believe I'm going to get over that now. I believe those were some of the bigger games that happened this week or this last week. But I'm going to
the
go ahead
Bengals and Bills game, the
topic.
2-9 versus 2-9 game was pretty important. Mm-hmm. It was important for the draft stock. How about that?
Yeah, important for draft stock for sure. Battle for the number 1. As we go off the playoff predictions now.
Oh, so interesting topic. So I think, but all three, Chargers and Raiders can give their little predictions. I think this will be interesting. I personally think not the most in the world is going to change with this playoff picture, but I do think there is a couple things that could happen that could happen last second, really, when it comes to Week 17. But I think I'll go ahead and kick it off. Again, no pun intended. So let me just head over to the standings. So starting off, I'll just start off with the AFC division winners. I personally think the Ravens are going to win the AFC North as they have for like 3 years in a row now, or 2 years in a row, or this would be the third year in a row. AFC South, Colts, obviously, they're 10-1. They're pretty close to clinching, although the Texans only 2 games behind them, so you never know what could happen. We've seen crazy things happen in gridiron before. AFC East, the Dolphins. This is going to be an interesting one to see who will win the AFC East. I'm not sure if the Dolphins play the Jets anymore this season, but if they do, that'll be a huge game. I'm not going to lie, I love you, Jets, but I kind of want the Dolphins to win this. I'm not going to lie. I kind of want the Dolphins to win it. I want to see a new AFC East champion instead of the same one over and over. And I think the Dolphins can. I think they can pull it off. And then the AFC West, I think the Raiders, I keep butchering that name. I used to have it down, but knowing that there's no Chiefs user, it's going to be FLs all day for him. But
it's going to be Raider Nation all day, every day, baby. You know it.
Yep, but then that leaves up wild card spots. So obviously the Jets are going to get a wild card spot. Like, there's no debate there. And the Texans are definitely looking like to get a wild card spot. So assuming that the Chiefs aren't going to get a user anytime soon and they keep getting FLs, that leaves up the last wild card spot for the Titans and the Browns. So honestly, the wild card isn't even that competitive. I think the way the race is right now is what it's going to be, or is what the actual thing is going to be. So moving on to the NFC, obviously right now, I don't know if you guys want me to do the whole thing and then all of us do the whole thing, but
top couple of teams, I guess.
Yeah. I might just do, I'll just be quick with it. As I'm bringing up the thing, my slow Xbox decides to have 3,000 second loading screens. But as of right now, the NFC North leader is the Bears. It's not looking like it's going to change as the Packers are 5-6. So predictions: Bears. I think the Falcons got the NFC South over the Saints. The Eagles, they're 2 games over the football team, so I doubt that they're going to get any more FWs to carry to them that.
I think 3 or 4 over the Cowboys, I believe, right?
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said I think he's on. I believe the Eagles is 3 or 4 games over the Cowboys as well, right?
Yes, they are 3 games over the Cowboys right now. The NFC West, sorry to the Seahawks, but they don't stand a chance. It's a 3.5 game deficit, and I think it's too late to make a run on the Niners. They might lose another game, who knows? But those are divisions. But I think wild card, we're gonna see. We're definitely gonna see another NFC East team, whether it's the football team or the Cowboys. But definitely Falcons. That's a lock. Or no, they're the division winners. So.
They're definitely the division winner.
Yeah.
Division winners. They're going to get the top seed for sure. But as we go over the top teams, I believe we should have some projected scores for these projected playoff games. So we're going to start with the AFC. We're just going to go ahead and assume each one of these teams makes the playoffs today. Like it just skip to the end of the season. These teams are doing as great as ever. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
I would not judge my own game, and if you are also a playoff team in this conversation, you will also not judge your own playoff team. I will let Bengals take care of that. All right. First game I have up is Bears Seahawks. I believe this could be a very close bout, as you know the Seahawks with that ever dominant defense. Shaquille, I believe, was doing very great these last couple of games. Jamal Adams not playing up. I'm more like he could play D end or linebacker, honestly, because he's just been blitzing. He's getting a whole lot of sacks there. Bears, Mac Jones at the helm now, I guess, because he's benched Derek Carr for whatever God knows reason. Could be dominated, honestly, because he gets a lot of completions off to his receivers. It's a very fast-paced offense, of what I've heard. Trading for the former Charger or free agency, I believe, was Austin Eckler. So, his run game is definitely extendable. It was a trade? All right, perfect. Thank you.
The trade was Austin Eckler for, Cole Kmet, a second or a third or something like that.
All right. Final score I have that game is 17-24 Seahawks. This is no bias. I just believe that will be the final score. They will go ahead and move on to that seed. They will have to play the winner of the Skins and Falcons game, which will be next. Skins getting a lot of force wins and whatnot. Falcons are here being as, good as ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and
assume
the Falcons are going to win that game easily. I feel like it'd be 42-14 Falcons. Going to go ahead and give them the game, or they're going to go ahead and play the Seahawks in the second round. Then we're going to go ahead into the 2nd and the 7th seed, the division rivals, Eagles and Cowboys. Right.
And that, honestly, I think that game would be closer than many people would think. And I feel like that's the type of game, and again, and we've said this many times, no disrespect to any of these teams, they're all good. But I think the Cowboys could pull an upset, and I feel like it's almost a trend. And sorry to the Eagles, but it's just a known thing around this league now. The Eagles choke in the playoffs a lot. And
that is true.
I think we could see the Cowboys make it past the Eagles to the first round, which would then pin them up against the Niners, and that would be a very tough game. But I think final score for Cowboys and Eagles, honestly, this may sound surprising, actually. I think the Cowboys can pull off a win by at least two possessions, and I'm going to say probably 35-21 or something like that.
Ooh.
It would be interesting. I know it's a bold
because I know he's a great team. I've lost to him personally in a very close game. It was 10-7.
And he's also in a very tough division, so that can also affect his record. I think we can see an upset, and we've said this many times, but the Eagles do choke in the playoffs. It's a known thing. But that would pin him against the Niners, and honestly, I mean, the Niners have been upset before, but I don't think the Cowboys can beat the Niners. The Niners, I think they would steamroll them 48-14 possibly, but you never know. But
yeah, and I agree with that because the Niners just a very good player. I mean, few teams have even come close to beating them. I mean, the Seahawks actually have, and we're gonna go ahead and leave the AFC guest scores for next podcast. All right, we're gonna go ahead and interview our interviewee. Seahawks, you want to go ahead and say something?
Yes, sir.
So we have the Seahawks on the line. Okay, not on the line, but We have the Seahawks in the little podcast chat. We got a lot of Hey, shout out to our little live audience that we got in the chat. If y'all want to blurt something out real quick, do it now while we're in transition. Nothing.
Whole
One
lot
at
of
a time,
people here.
please.
Love y'all.
Well, I got a question.
Love the
Let's go
live
Panthers.
audience.
got a
This will
question
be
for
going up
Raiders.
on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But how are you doing today, Seahawks?
Great. After I got that win, I was just feeling great.
Yes, big win indeed. It was tough times, or no, wait, it might have, I can't remember if it was your game or not, where Mostert just absolutely went off, and it's always tough times limiting Mostert, or Mostert, however you pronounce his name, but you were able to do so, and a pretty interesting upset in my opinion. Not that it's going to help you out in the divisional race, though. It's going to be pretty tough to win that division, but...
Yeah,
You beat the brakes off them, man. I'm really interested
that's
about
another
that.
thing too. Is like it wasn't like a close game. It was a blowout. So
the first half was very close. At the end, it was 14-14.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I see that here. I'm going to go ahead and look at the final score now.
Or
The final score was 38-14. He scored 2 touchdowns in the first, or he scored a touchdown in the first, and then a touchdown in the
7-14.
third, and he scored no more out of that. You scored every quarter. It looks like what Bengals said. It looks like you shut down Tyree Jackson. He threw
that's efficient
5
football.
interceptions. How do you feel your defense played on that?
Terrific. Maybe not the D-line, but the secondary was going crazy.
Anybody you want to give a specific shout out to? Maybe
Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams.
Jamal.
I heard he wasn't that great in coverage, but what happened in that game? Was he looking like Charles Woodson?
Yes, sir. So was Shaquille Griffin. Jamal got the lead in most interceptions on the team, next to Griffin. We picked him off, I think, 4 or 5 times. Went out strong. And DK Metcalf, whew, every time he was taking that shit to the crib.
I see that 4 catches, 3 touchdowns, and
That's a Randy
131
Moss
yards.
stat line.
That is very well Randy Moss stat line. Wow.
Every
I
play
see
was
David
going to the crib.
Njoku was your second receiver. Not a lot of catches on the day for your boys, but I mean, you certainly did get the job done.
And the defense too. I know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but your defense
No,
definitely
it's
limited
fine.
him because Niners are almost known for the high-scoring games that they put up, and you definitely limited that. And your offense also came through to I can't think of the word to help that out. I can't think of the fancy language, but.
And it looks like Jamal Adams was doing God tier this day. I mean, not a lot of tackles, but given the 2 interceptions and the forced fumble. How did that forced fumble change that game at all? Or was this already when you were up?
This one was when I was up. Actually, no, this one probably secured it. It was when I was probably I was up by 10 or 7.
Ooh.
And I think I scored a field goal off that forced fumble.
So that definitely that definitely set a statement as to that you weren't playing games and you were ready to beat the brakes off him and make a statement in this league that don't forget about you. You may be an 8-8 team sometimes, but worry about you because you're not just going to be a walk in the park when it comes to playoff time, and people should be a little worried. And I'm not going to lie, not sucking up as well.
Next season, the NFC West, it's anyone's game.
It really is. It may
Maybe
be a little
not
late this year, but if you can do what you did yesterday or whenever you played him next year,
Maybe not the
I think
Rams.
you could have a great chance.
Yeah. Then Raheem Mostert only having 50 yards on the day. There is only 3 teams that have held him under 100 yards. And those same 3 teams, held him to at least 50. I mean, it doesn't make sense what I just said, but I'll try to make some more sense out of it. But if we go ahead over to individual, I'm going to go ahead and Bengals take over for a little bit. I'll come back to this. I got to go find it real quick.
Okay. We're still on talking about the Niners game.
Yeah. We're still talking the Niners game.
Okay. But yeah, definitely a great game. Like I said, defense definitely won the championship. Not the championship, but people always say defense wins championships. You definitely showed that in that game. But what was, I know this sounds stupid, and I didn't do my homework. But what was the feeling when it came to the fact that you found out that you were probably going to beat the Niners, and what was also the anxiety that you got that he would out of nowhere just come back and beat you last second?
I did think he was going to come back once it went down 10. I thought he got pissed off. But as soon as I beat him, I was shit myself. I was so excited. Did not think that was going to happen.
Bengals, to come around to that stat line I was bringing up earlier, in those 3 games, the 3 teams he played, I'm going to go ahead and bring myself up for a little bit. He had 14 carries and 54 yards against my team, the Raiders. He had a touchdown. The game was won by 8 points. All right, we're going to go ahead to the next game where, Seahawks took the big dub. 9 attempts for 52 yards. Also had a tutty that game, but he also fumbled. I believe that was the one that Jamal Adams caused, right? He does not fumble a lot. I believe that was his second fumble on the season. And the third game was another 10-point victory over the Cardinals. He's 2-1. That doesn't say a lot because this guy was 9-0 before he went into the Seahawks place and got his ass fucked. Yeah, no, that's what he did there. But I mean, the teams that were holding him to so many less yards. I mean, props to the defense, obviously.
Yes.
And the players. I mean, not all 3 players, but one of them. I hate to say it, is my boy Octo, is the Cardinals user. 2-9, but holding the Niners to that low of a stat line with Raheem Mostert, which he has been reigning MVP for the last 2 seasons?
Yes.
I do believe so.
He's been absolutely incredible. I think he was told to stop using him so much. I mean, he still uses him a lot, obviously, but I think he was told that he's got to chill out with him a little bit. So I am curious to know if that'll affect his gameplay at all, especially when it comes to playoff time, because when he has to face teams like the Falcons and possibly, depending on if the Seahawks can make it far at all, against him again, possibly, will that affect his playoff play is my question, and maybe it could. I don't know.
To go ahead and go back to the Seahawks, because we wanted to just steer this off the way. Seahawks, do you feel like there might be any more competitive games for you for the rest of this season?
The Washington football team and the Raiders.
Ooh.
The last week 17, the Raiders.
Happy to hear that.
Week 17, the Raiders should be game of the week.
I'm not influencing this in any way, but I honestly agree.
That will be a good game, and I think you're not clinched yet, but I think with a couple more wins, you should be clinched. So, I'm ready to see you in the playoffs. I'm ready to watch what happens. It'll be interesting because after that Niners win, that was really an eye opener for me. Saying, "Holy crap, this guy can act like he's making a statement for himself. He can play." And
if I make the playoffs and play the Bears, I'm streaming it.
We'll see what happens, definitely, and I will try to watch all the streams that take place at the. Oh man, I'm so used to typing. I was about to say at Raiders can account for that. But the Raiders can account for that. But
that is how you play smart and efficient football. We are strong.
Yep.
All right, Charge, you want to go ahead and ask any questions to Seahawks? Because you are our third reporter, and we would really love to hear your voice a little bit more.
Yeah, we kind of
today.
overheard you.
I pulled some of the questions that I had in the chat. So, which Madden player in the league has the most skill that you've played in your whole Madden career with Gridiron?
That I've ever played. Ooh.
Look, everybody's about to give the same damn list. Niners, Colts, and Jets.
The Colts.
Well,
Colts is the best one in the league.
I've played Colts. I haven't played Niners and Jets. Now, of course, I understand that this was the regular season. This wasn't the playoffs Colts, and everybody knows that playoff Colts and regular season Colts are two very, very different things.
Colt's
But
the best player in the league.
when I played him, I mean, he didn't seem that skilled, but obviously that's because it's not the playoff Colts. So I'd want to say someone else, but I feel like I kind of have to say the GOAT of all Madden leagues. But apart from him, because I feel like everyone's list would be almost the same, I feel like we gotta give a second one that's not in like that vicinity of lists, if that's even a word. I think. I'm not even sure. There's a lot. I've played Jackson, the Eagles, a couple times in the old Madden 2 or whatever it was, Gridiron 2 or whatever it was called. He's pretty skilled, and I will say the Raiders and the Ravens. I know Ravens is in the live audience right now. I pay you respect, buddy. I was talking about you a little earlier. If you'll listen back to it later on, but definitely like some people like them, and the old Texans user was pretty skilled as well, but.
Ray Clutch, yes, very skilled user, but I believe he was booted out of the league for breaking the rules many times.
He barely even played.
But when he wasn't breaking the rules against me, he was actually pretty good, and I couldn't. And if I beat him and then the game after, I would have made the playoffs, and he eliminated my playoff hope. So.
Shout out to the Jets. He says it seems like it's going to be fire. That is something we very rarely see, as you know. It's just one of those things that doesn't really happen that often, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm surprised that Rover is not a robot.
Yeah, I personally
Definitely,
like him a
definitely
lot.
have to join in and agree. I don't know how Rover is not a robot. I've never heard him use vocabularistics like lit.
For me, I'd
I'm really
say
surprised.
the most difficult opponent I've played would...
Me.
No, I've beaten you before.
Yes, but that wasn't. Yeah, that was before I was good.
Most difficult, I have to say the
I
Colts.
was ever good.
For me, it's either Raiders, Colts, Jets, or Niners.
Yeah, Raiders getting paid a lot of respect here in this podcast, as he's been hearing, obviously, as one of the hosts. And like I said earlier, definitely a team on the rise, not just a old team. I'm not gonna lie to you, because before I didn't think the most of him, only because I got very close to beating him. And when I get close to beating a team, it makes me think they're not as good. But then I started to realize he made the playoffs. He won a playoff game. He only lost by 8 to the playoff Colts, and the Colts even said himself he's like one of the 4th best that he's ever played in Gridiron. So, moving on, unless you guys have more to say.
Well, I do have one thing to say. I want to give some
We'll
credit to
finish up
Gilly
with
here.
the questions as we have 3 more.
I think
we'll probably
I think
kind of speak
49ers
through
just-
these.
Okay.
Who do you think is the most underrated player?
Ooh.
Not like a user, a player like in the game. For example, Mika Fitzpatrick, Spencer
Like that. I thought they meant
those
user.
players.
Well, I think we can
Yeah,
do
Like in
user
the
and player.
league.
It
But-
got to be Trey Flowers. No respect.
I'm trying to think of players that they play good, but their overall doesn't show it.
My
And of course,
vote-
it's kind of tough to think of
my vote-
people that it's not on your
Mhm.
team because you don't see them every day.
Here, my vote is my starting tight end. Don Parham just got done with the game with him having 12 catches for like 120 yards. It was amazing. But aside from my team, I'd probably say it would be
Oh, we're getting a lot of
Antonio Gibson.
ideas in the podcast convo. I want to say everybody
And we do,
involved in that chat.
and
I'm
thank
gonna
you
go ahead and
guys
give
for
big
the
shout
ideas, and we'll get some of them now, and then some of them we'll end up not using only because we want to save some ideas for other podcasts so we don't just pile it all on one and then not have any ideas for the next ones. But I feel like any tight end in this league is underrated only because, honestly, unless you have a George Kittle or a Hunter Henry or someone like that, or Darren Waller, any
Travis
tight end will
Kelce
do the
either.
job for you. Like Drew Sample, he can catch the balls I need him to catch. Back when I had Uzma, he could catch the stuff that I
That's what
needed him
she
to
said.
catch. This is a clean okay, no, it's not clean, but but
Hold
I
on.
feel like any tight end will
Seahawks,
catch
I gotta
what they
address
need
something
to.
real quick.
Say what?
I've been here. I just want to say that.
We know.
He said, no. He told me specifically, he's like, at Raider IC, you got to get on this podcast. more.
No,
This
no,
shit-
did you?
Oh no, that's me being dumb. My bad.
No, never mind.
No. That was me being dumb, Seahawks. It's fine. But the most underrated player in the league, because I see James Morgan at 95, and that's because Jets has a fucking laboratory for quarterbacks specifically named James Morgan and Cole McDonald.
I think
It has to be.
Yeah, he's related to Bill Belichick when it comes to that factory, but
Yeah, no, that might be some secret underground funding. I'm surprised he didn't even pick the Pats this year. Or I mean, as our
Pats is
actual
kind of
Pats
the
user
first
is.
team taken. But,
Yeah.
or one of the first teams taken. Yeah, what Colt just said in the podcast convo is very true, actually. That's what I was just talking about, really. But, man, I want to keep going. This is fun, but I also want to save stuff for the
We
next
do have
week
a
as well.
schedule to follow.
But I do
Yeah,
other people joining the chat as well. Make it more fun with more people.
Yes.
Rather than just the simple 2-person podcast. But thank you guys for making it more fun. Seahawks, we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
For coming on the show,
everyone that's
answering
listening
questions.
we go into the
trying
NFC Conference Championship. Yeah,
If anybody
Love to
wants to
see
say
it.
anything before, shout out their own Twitch page or whatnot, you can go ahead and do it. Unmute yourself as of right now. Dolphins, Bears, Ravens, Skins.
Go follow John Eden 6767 on Instagram. The best meme page there is. No ads.
it's a pretty cool meme page.
Yeah. Any other shout outs? Maybe you got sponsorships, because I have one with California. It's a clothing brand. Very cool clothing. Nice. It's soft and I love it. I personally don't have anything, but I had to borrow somebody's shirt one time and I was like, bet. And I love it. I already love it. I had to steal it from them.
Oh, and also, you never know when our podcast will break out and random people that aren't in the league will start viewing it and it'll blow up. So in case that happens, let me say this. Madden, or EA Sports, if you're listening to this right now, fix your game. Fix your game. You don't understand. I know we didn't talk about it much in this podcast, and it's probably going to be a topic in many future podcasts. You got to fix your game. Like, you don't understand how bad it is, whether it comes to connection issues or the way players regress. You got to fix your game. You just straight up has to. There's no other words I could say. You got to fix your game. I dream of the day in the esports championship of Madden. The game disconnects 5 times, and Madden finally realizes how bad their game is. But
True.
Well, I don't know how much longer y'all wanted to go.
I'm sorry. I'm just making the waiting list for the guest list
Yeah.
right now.
Do we want to go any longer, or we want to wrap her up here?
We're probably gonna go ahead and wrap it up here.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we started it. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know how long we're planning to do these, or how often we're planning to do these podcasts, because obviously if we do it once a week, that kind of passes through like half the season, or not half season, but like close to half season every week. So maybe like every couple of days. I don't know. I'm pretty free for the most part, especially on like Thursdays and Fridays and stuff. But we'll definitely have to see.
You could do it every other day.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
But-
because tomorrow I'm like really busy as I got a couple of exams to take. So
Yeah.
Okay, we also have a separate server where we do have our news reporters. If you are in that, we do have 4 users in it right now. We'd like to have 3 people from each division. So we already have three AFC division or AC teams. And we
Invite me
need
to that.
2 more. Huh?
I was saying invite me to that.
Oh, bet. I will.
Wait, what? Hold up. Reporters for what?
The News Reporter League. We'd like to have more people into this podcast, and
Oh, yeah, sure.
potentially helping the stream or the podcast become a little bit, special, or like not special, but y'all know what I
Yeah.
mean.
And I'll definitely
Absolutely.
share the analytics with everyone because I own the podcast or whatever, or like I own like when it like I can see all the analytics, so I can see who's or not who, but see all the follows, how many plays we get and everything. So that'll be interesting to see. It would be very interesting if we got people that are outside the league viewing it, but or listening to it. But this is fun, and I plan to do it, or we plan to do it a lot more. But I think that's going to wrap it up, so I hope you guys enjoyed the first ever Gridiron Express podcast. I really like that name.
Yeah, sir.
But
And we're all signing off.
be sure to drop that follow, and that'll do it. See you on the next one.
I just gotta say, I had a better name than Gridiron Express. Gridiron Hot Takes is by far way better.
Yeah, that one was better.
That one was
Oh,
good.
how come you didn't say anything in chat then?
It
Why
was
the fuck
awesome.
you
I
did
sent a
that?
DM to Pat's,
Oh, I think I might have gotten it. I can't remember though.
or it might have been Bingles. I'm
The
not
Pats might have DM'd it to me, but I didn't pay that much attention. So that's my
Oh,
fault.
wait. Our Pats just made us a tab or waitlist tab. Waitlist tab and link tab are for you guys and admin only. That way it won't get flooded. All right. Perfect.
I know
Thank you.
Pats didn't DM it. But yeah. So is that all you guys got?
Yeah, sir.
All right.
I
Well, signing off. See you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.
Peace.